As you probably know already, color has three dimensions: hue, which is the actual color family, red, blue, green, orange, yellow, etc. Chroma, which is the intensity or saturation. And finally, value, which is how light or dark something is. Out of these three, value is by far the most important for realism, and yet it is also the most overlooked. The thing is, you can completely change the hue of a painting and still keep it believable if the values are correct. But if the values are wrong, even perfect color mixing will fail. This is why so many great painters practiced the art of the grisaille, a technique of painting entirely in values before introducing color. And few artists demonstrate this better than Jean-Léon Gérôme in this hidden gem that I found for you, the Disobedient Prophet. At first glance, this painting feels complete, despite the absence of saturation. The atmosphere, the drama, the heat of the landscape, even the emotional tension of the biblical story are already fully present. One of the reasons Jérôme's grisaille feels so convincing is that it is extremely simple in terms of palette, and you can experiment with it. You simply have to download the resources. The link is in the description. It's completely free. You don't need to subscribe to anything. You just go there, download the resource, and you can start practicing from your studio. And the good news is that you only need 3 pigments to practice with this painting: titanium white, raw umber, and ivory black. This limited palette is perfect for beginners because it naturally produces harmonious, very neutral mixtures. It also forces you to think in terms of value relationships rather than color tricks. Step number 1, you want to start with a middle tone ground. Pure white canvas makes value judgment difficult, so instead what you want to do is tone your surface first with a thin wash of raw umber and ivory black, and you want a middle gray-brown tone. Jérôme, as many artists, often worked from a controlled middle tone in the background rather than from pure white. This toned surface also creates a little sense of atmosphere immediately that you can rely on to evaluate the values more properly and create some sort of atmosphere. Step 2, you want to separate the lights and the shadows clearly. So before we render anything, before we go in the details, we want to simplify the subject into 2 big families: light, shadow. Simple as that. Do not think about the details, do not go into the trickeries of all the texture. We just divide the painting in 2 big families. Squint your eyes and identify the large shadow masses first. Paint them with a thin, transparent mixture of raw umber and a little bit of ivory black, but not too much, because in this case, raw umber clearly dominates. Keep this stage simple and graphic. One of the biggest beginner mistakes is adding too many subtle half-tone nuances too early. That destroys the clarity. You want to start with the big masses of value, and this is why a grisaille is perfect with this kind of technique. You just want to ask yourself what belongs to the light, what belongs to the shadows, what is receiving light directly and what is not receiving light directly. Nothing else really matters yet. Step 3, you want to build the values gradually and slowly. Once the big masses are established, you can start seeing where everything should go. So you can start beginning organizing the values inside them. This is where titanium white becomes really important, and you want to start incorporating titanium white in your mixtures. You want to create a little scale, a little gradient, going from the lightest to the darkest of the tones that you're going to use in your painting, and start picking from those middle range values, those mid-tones. The body of your painting is made of all those mid-tones, and because we have separated the lights from the shadows, we know which mid-tone goes in which family, and there is no confusion. The confusion between the mid-tones is what really creates an impression of unrealistic appearance. You want a value scale with organized steps not random mixtures, because what we really want is keep the values under control. So we want to have a couple prepared. It might be 5, 6, 7 steps, 9 if you want. Regarding titanium white, raw umber, ivory black, the proportion, here in this case it's very warm, so you're probably going to be using 80 to 90% raw umber and maybe a little touch of ivory black. Ivory black is more to make the colors feel more cool. It has more of a bluish undertone when mixed with white, whereas raw umber has more of a brown undertone when mixed with white, even like yellowish greenish sometimes, depending on the manufacturer's way to produce the raw umber. So really what you want to keep in mind is raw umber is kind of your warm element, and ivory black is very simply your cool element. Step 4 in the painting of your grisaille: think in planes and not details. A convincing illusion of form comes from value relationships between planes and the edges going from one plane to the other. Is it a sharp edge? Is it a soft and round edge? This is what you want to focus on, the relation between one plane and the other, not the small details, not painting tiny lines and trying to create little textures that doesn't create a convincing impression of reality. What you want is really to focus on planes and create an impression, an illusion of an object receiving light and the light bouncing on the surface of the object and hitting the eyes of the viewers. Beginners have a tendency to outline everything equally, but that really flattens the image immediately. So instead, what you want is you want to soften edges when needed, sharpen edges near the focal points or where you have something sharp you want to bring more focus on. You want to create loose edges to create the impression of roundness or atmosphere. Only in the end can you finish with the small accents, the textures, and this is what I call sometimes the rendering. You finish with tiny highlights, sharp accents, little details, texture. Think of these as embellishments, but they are not really structural. So if you want to keep your painting very simple, which might be the case if your painting is just a study for later works, you might want to skip this phase. If you want to make the painting more like something like a standalone, then in that case, you can have fun, you can experiment, you can create some more texture, you can work on the aerial perspective, you can work on all these little things, these little details that are going to make the painting just better, feel more alive, feel more, luminous, feel more textured, more detailed, more interesting, more striking. You want to make your painting stand out, and you want to finish with whatever helps your artistic decision be more noticeable and visible. But what you want to keep in mind if you practice the art of grisaille is that you shouldn't judge a grisaille by how finished it looks, because it never really looks finished. What you want is to judge a grisaille by how the light feels believable, how it feels like a black and white version of a painting that could have colors. And this is one of the most fascinating things about this painting, is how little color is actually needed. The entire emotional impact comes from value relationships. And this is very similar to black and white in cinema. You can remove color from a great film and the storytelling still works because light itself carries emotion. Contrast creates tension, shadows create mystery, bright passages can attract attention, establish a hierarchy between the planes, and Gérôme uses exactly the same principles here in this painting. The eye immediately goes to the dead prophet lying in the foreground because of the strong light fabric against the darker surrounding. The lion beside him becomes even more imposing because of how it's painted with this deep, dark mass of value. In the distance, you see the small illuminated figure riding the donkey and creates another focal point that reinforces the narrative. Everything is controlled through values. Even the sensation of scorching heat is created almost entirely through tonal contrast. The dusty road, the pale sky, the fading mountains in the background, they all rely on carefully calibrated shifts in value. This is also a perfect example of aerial perspective. Notice how the distant hills become lighter, softer, and lower in contrast as they recede into space. Jérôme creates depth not by adding detail, but by controlling value compression in the distance. I have very little information about this painting, and I don't know if it was created as a value study, as a preparation for a future painting, or if it was meant to be something like a standalone. But let's talk about this idea of a value study as a preparation for a future project, because today artists can instantly test ideas digitally, even with your phone. You can check composition in grayscale in just one click. You just take a photo of your model, turn it into black and white, and you can see how it looks, how the values scale, the hierarchy between the contrast of the objects, and you can experiment endlessly with lighting, color adjustments. You can even create a curve map to change the lighting on your model if you work from a photo. But Jérôme did not have any of those tools. For academic painters of the 19th century and all the painters before, value studies were really essential. They were not optional exercises. They were decision-making tools. They were especially useful for strong narrative compositional paintings like that. A grisaille would allow the artist to answer critical questions before committing to a large-scale finished painting. Does the composition read clearly? Is the focal point strong enough? Do the lights and shadow masses feel balanced? Do the light and shadow masses feel balanced? Is the storytelling understandable from a distance? Does it convey good narrative? This was very important for complex narrative paintings like that. A painting like the Disputant Prophet depends entirely on visual clarity. Keep in mind that it was probably meant to be displayed in a church, where maybe the light, the context of the room was not always with ideal lighting. So the viewer has to walk in and immediately understand where to look, even in poor lighting condition. All these elements have to be thoroughly predicted by the artist through the value structure, and a grisaille study really helps understanding these relationships before the color is added. Hue and chroma are great, but they make value relationships more complicated to grasp. When hue and chroma are removed, the weaknesses of the painting become obvious. If the painting still works in grayscale, chances are that it will remain strong once hue and chroma are added. So I strongly encourage you to use those principles today. Make charcoal studies, monochromatic underpaintings, make digital grayscale versions of your painting, take photos and put them in black and white. All of these serve the same purpose, solving the visual structure first. A grisaille remains one of the greatest learning tools for painters. If it strips the painting down to its essential structure. Jean-Léon Gérôme was a true master, and he proves that a painting can feel dramatic, atmospheric, and emotionally complete with almost no color at all. Because in the end, painting is not about how things are. It's about how light reveals them to us.